So this is one thing I didn't really see happening at the end of the year, but I feel like it was worthwhile to spend some more time with the S21 Ultra. Now, I spoke recently and told you guys I was going to do it. Well, that's what I've got going on now. I've got my SIM card in here. I'm testing it out. I'm about 53% battery right now, but the phone itself, I wanted to talk about this because it's really refreshing in a few ways. And I think there's one important thing we need to give Samsung some credit for here that they don't get a lot of credit for. You know, whenever the phones come out, we get the OnePlus phones, or we used to anyway. OnePlus is being absorbed into the Oppo brand, which they were both owned by the same parent company, but now OnePlus is going to fall underneath Oppo. I don't know, going to be weird. But either way, OnePlus, the LGs, the Sonys of the world, the Pixels, the iPhones. But what phone comes out first globally in the United States every year? These guys right here, the Samsung phones. There is not much of a room or margin for error here, and I feel like the S21 Ultra, probably the cleanest, most polished, refined, best phone that they've probably ever made that's not a folding or flipping phone. I was so happy when the S21 Ultra came out. I was not a big fan of the Note 20 Ultra. I had issues with mine, especially with the battery. I know that's kind of a recurring theme with me, but I wasn't impressed with this. So as soon as I saw this one, 5,000 milliamp battery, adding on the S Pen, which is great because I could really move away from my Note. I got this Samsung silicone case with the S Pen. It's worked out pretty well. I mean, I've had this case for a year now, and even when I wasn't using this for like the last 6 months, my son was using it as a daily driver. This phone has been carried around by me and then by a 12-year-old for basically an entire year, and I gotta say, it's held up a lot better than I thought. I wasn't overly impressed at about the 3-month mark when I was carrying it. I wasn't using a screen protector. I wasn't using a lot of stuff to protect it, really. But I wanted to see how well it held up because I actually got the insurance on this. It's probably one of the first times I've ever actually paid for the insurance for the entire year. I'm not going to go make a claim or anything, but the actual housing and the body itself is actually in really pristine shape. I still have some of the pitting around the edges just because stuff would get trapped inside the case and it would make little like dings in it over time. But overall, I've been really impressed with this phone. The only thing I haven't liked is the battery life, and I'm hoping that that's going to be changed now, or at least improved with OneUI 4. I'm hearing some mixed stuff. Some people are saying my battery life's gotten way better. Some people are saying it's gotten worse. Important thing to note here, anytime you update the software on your phone, give it probably about 4 or 5 days. Everything needs to kind of resettle back in, especially with a big substantial overhaul like Android 12. A lot of significant updates. It's a big update from the previous OneUI 3, so I'm looking forward to testing that out. I was using OneUI 4 in beta on my Z Flip, and I gotta tell you, it was more smooth, more reliable, less buggy, and more enjoyable than Android 12 on my Google Pixel 6 and 6 Pro. And Google is the author of Android, and of course stock Android, which some people like. I actually like OneUI. I always hated the Samsung phones, like prior to the S8. Once the S8 came online, like I couldn't stand that TouchWiz stuff. They changed things around, they made it better. Once we moved over to OneUI, it really made for a much better experience. And you get that uniform experience across the board. So if I grab my Tab S7 Plus, if I grab my S21 Ultra, if I grab my Fold 3, it's like using the same phone, just like if you're using an iPhone. So I think that Samsung needs credit for a couple of things. One, making really good hardware, because this has held up really well. 1 year later, it still looks and feels better than pretty much anything else that came out the rest of the year. It doesn't feel as heavy or as bulky or as blocky as the iPhone. It feels more premium, more put together than the Pixel and also the OnePlus 9 Pro. They did a good job here. The cameras, much improved over the S20 Ultra. I like the cameras on here. I like the sophistication. I don't like the shutter lag. I really wish they would find a way to fix that. And shutter lag meaning whenever you take a picture, whenever you press the shutter button, there's a delay between when you press the button and then when the shutter closes and it takes the picture. That's something Samsung is notorious for. I really hope that's something that gets better moving forward. But as far as the actual camera and video capabilities, this thing right here, I believe rivals the iPhone in pretty much every way. Like if you have to get two phones for video, you look at the iPhone, and then I say you look at Samsung and what they do with their portrait video, what they do with allowing you to use pro video mode. If you look at these mainstream phones, even the Pixel, you would think that they would have a pro video or pro camera mode. They don't, because They want the camera work to be done by the phone. They don't want you to do it. They want it to come out the way they want it to come out. Then you look at Apple. Apple doesn't give you choice or options with anything, so you definitely don't have pro camera or video mode. But definitely, when you look at the Samsung, it has the most built out, best video, best camera mode, I think, hands down, on Android. And what's also nice is the way it works is if you use your earbuds, you can use them as a lapel mic. So if you get like the Samsung Galaxy Buds, Galaxy Buds Live, I believe you can even use third-party ones. And you can, when you go into pro video mode, actually use those as a lapel mic, a wireless microphone. You step away from your phone, you can record. So there's a lot of thoughtfulness that Samsung has put into the experience over the last couple of years. They know that hardware can only get you so far, but I think they've done a good job here. I thought the colors were kind of weird. They look kind of like a flat plasti dip on like the S21 and the S21 Plus, but when it came to the Phantom colors, like this Phantom Black on the Ultra feels much more premium, all metal all the way around, no compromises. You have this kind of molded together one unibody piece with the camera. It kind of makes it not as awkward with this camera bump, even though if you set it down on the ground, it still wobbles a little bit. But it's so wide now, it's not as bad as it has been in the past. But you definitely still have some wobble there. You put it in the case, it pretty much takes that away. And of course, I'm going to tell you, most people are going to tell you, put your phone in the case. Not a whole lot of people do I see carrying this around by itself without any case on or anything like that. I do have a screen protector on here. It's worked out well. It is the Spigen. It's like NeoFlex or something like that. It works out fine. It's a film style one. You can find a lot of those around floating on Amazon. Very, very inexpensive. And that's one nice thing about Samsung phones. You can find accessories anywhere, especially on Amazon. You can get cases, you can get screen protectors, you can get film screen protectors. There's all sorts of stuff. It works really well. You can get them fairly inexpensive, especially a year later. Now, some of the nice novel things we have here, the ultrasonic fingerprint sensor is actually really good. I hated it on the Note 10, the Note 20, the S20, the S10. Once they finally got it to the S21 Ultra, they got it right. It works so much better. You can have the confidence of just touching it and moving along with your life. And this is even with the screen protector on there. This is how it's done, Google. I love my Pixel 6 and Pixel 6 Pro, but what they put in there for a fingerprint sensor is abysmal. And I hated on Samsung so long for the fingerprint sensor. They went to the ultrasonic. I'm like, okay, cool, it's more secure, but I can't use it. It was so bad on the Note 20 Ultra. That was the other thing. This fingerprint scanner with the ultrasonic fingerprint sensor on the Note 20 Ultra was so bad, it was unusable for me. Like, I would try and use it. I would have a screen protector on there. I just gave up on it. 4 or 5 times routinely, it would not work, and then I'd have to put the pin in. Here, even with the screen protector, it works so well, so fast, it's more secure, and better than the optical ones that you get in a lot of the manufacturers like OnePlus and also the Google Pixel. So definitely a win there for Samsung. Cameras and video, top notch, and I'm hoping the battery life is going to be better. I have to test it. I'm going to have to use it this week with OneUI 4 so I can highlight that and come back and tell you guys exactly, has it got any better? Because that's the biggest thing for me. I love all these things, but when I talk about flagship phones and they don't have good battery life, I'd like to kind of compare them to a Ferrari with like a 4-gallon gas tank. It's a whole lot of fun. You get all these features. It runs really well. It's got all these great things, and then you can use it for a couple hours and then it dies. So this right here, going to evaluate it. With the 5,000 milliamp battery, it has all the opportunity in the world to be a good phone. And when I first got it, the first couple of weeks I had it, you guys are probably tired of hearing the story. I was getting at least 6-7 hours of screen on time, and I thought it was uncanny. I thought, finally, Samsung has made it to the promised land of battery life, and that was something that I really appreciated. And then the February update came out, and it ruined it. And then it didn't get better with March. It didn't get better with April. It didn't get better with May. And then I gave up. And that's why I made that video recently saying why I had given up on the S21 Ultra, because not only was the battery not good, it was on principle alone. I paid $1,200 for the phone, 5,000 milliamp battery, and it was just getting not good battery life for me. And I know everybody's different. This is my experience. This isn't why you gave up on the S21 Ultra. This is not why you should have stopped using it. I'm telling you why, after 3 or 4 months of using it on a day-to-day basis, how much I loved this phone that it frustrated me to the point I didn't want to use it just because my battery life was not good. And other people have experienced the same thing. It's kind of a love-hate relationship. Some people love the battery life. Some people experience the same problem I have, independent of whether it's Snapdragon or the Exynos. So, Gotta get off that tangent. This phone has everything you could possibly ask for. Well, I mean, almost everything. It doesn't have expandable storage. I kind of gave up on the headphone jack. I don't really even have anything that uses a headphone jack anymore. I know some people still do. Maybe once you migrate over in a couple of years as the technology gets even better, you'll be fine. But the stereo speakers on here, really good. Especially with the Dolby, quite possibly the best speakers of the year. Beautiful screen, HDR10 Plus. It's got all the wonderful colors. It's got the brightest screen I think you can get in a flagship Android phone in the States. And Snapdragon 888, 12 gigs of RAM, and it's also got 5,000 milliamp battery. I don't like the 128 gigs of storage. It should be expandable. If you're going to pay this much money, you get a flagship phone. I don't care if you're a $500 Pixel. I don't care if you're a $1,200 Samsung, a $1,700 Samsung. I really feel like the manufacturers are purposely screwing us and screwing with us by not giving us expandable storage. So that would be nice to have, but it's got IP68 dust and water resistance. It's got NFC for your wireless contact payments. It's also got reverse power share. It's got wireless charging. It's got quick wireless charging, in fact. So you can use this phone to your heart's content. You can charge it up if you need to. You can continue to use it running the latest. And Samsung's really gotten a lot better with software and security updates too. In the past, not too far long ago, it seemed like almost 9 months later they would get the updates. Like the updates would be horrible. They would come out way, way, way late. Now these guys are not too far behind Google and the Pixel department with the software updates. And this go around, it's been a more smooth process. It's been a smoother transition, and it feels like a more complete operating system update. So Samsung has really raised the bar in a lot of areas. There's a reason why they're a global leader, especially in the United States. I think they got passed up by Xiaomi, but if you're here in the States, you're buying a Samsung phone. You're not buying a Xiaomi phone. Overseas, yeah, you might be buying a Xiaomi phone. They make great phones. I reviewed quite a few of them. I like them a lot, but I like the Samsung phones over here better. So, solid phone, a lot of great options here. You can get them cheaper than ever. And that was kind of another reason I want to talk about this, because there's a lot of good sales right now. You may not want to get the S22 when it comes out, the S22 Ultra, whatever. When you get this close out to like 0 hour for new phones, especially during the holiday season, you can find a lot of sales stuff. Check out Samsung, check out Best Buy. I don't have a specific link here for you to follow, but keep your eyes peeled, because as we get closer to the date, probably the end of January, early February is when we're supposed to have the announcement on the S22 Ultra. Yeah, you bet the prices are going to be affected on here, and this is a fantastic phone. If you don't have battery issues, it's great. If you do have like 4.5 hours battery like I was getting, that may still be fine for you. I know people that use a Z Flip 3 and they're like, I get all day battery life. So that's kind of I don't want to make that a big talking point here, because I don't think it's going to be a problem for most people. It was a problem for me. So I don't want to draw this out and talk about that. I think that if you're interested in picking one up, if you can get a good deal, if you can get a good trade-in on it, it's a phenomenal phone. It's the best Samsung phone that's not a flip or a foldable phone I think they've ever made. And I'm glad I held on to it this year. I'm able to test it out and use it again. I'm going to report back and see if the battery life seems to have improved with OneUI 4, which is Android 12, and we'll go from there. But SIM card's back in here, using it. This is kind of my 2021 recap. I mean, it's been almost a year now. I don't really think I'm going to dive in and make another follow-up video on this year later. But if you've been looking at it, if you've been on the fence about it, if you're a Samsung fan and really wanted to get your hands on one, I think it's still good. The Snapdragon 888 is going to carry you into several years from now. I mean, these phones are designed now 3 years of operating system updates and I think 4 years of security patches. These things are basically, they're good as long as the phone is, basically. I know people that have had phones from 3 and 4 years ago that they're still hanging on to. If you get one of these now, it's going to be such a significant and huge upgrade over what you were using on an older phone. And moving into the future, it's going to be good for at least 3 or 4 more years that you're not going to even have to worry about it. So solid, fantastic hardware, great build quality. And I think it looks nice, especially in this black color. They had like a navy color, a couple other ones. I hate that Samsung pulls a fast one and they wait like 2 months after you buy one to come out with the nice colors. But this one, I saw it, I got it in black, I like it. I still think it's a top-notch design. I think it's probably in the running for best flagship phone of the year, absent the battery issues. I'm still kind of talking to myself internally about making a phone of the year thing. Maybe it'll happen. We still have a couple of weeks left, but I really wanted to touch base on this because I think it's a very good phone. And I don't I feel like maybe I need to say that a little bit. I don't want to paint the wrong picture with it. The only problem, the one singular only problem I ever had with this was I thought my battery life was not that great. And I thought it was ruined by software, which is what Samsung did to it whenever they came out with the updates. They just totally ruined my battery life. So we'll see now. I'm hoping for good things. But if you were curious about it, a year later, I think it's held up well. I think it's still going to work well into the future. And I think it's a high quality device. So that's all I've got in this video. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave those down in the comment section. I'll get back with you. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like and the subscribe button and a little notification bell if you want updates when new videos come out. And as always, thanks for being here. I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you guys next time.